The camera up and down.
Oh.
What's happening, guys? Round number 2 of 3 for the night, or for the morning now. Lucas Matthysse versus Lamont Peterson. I have a feeling this is going to end up being a much better fight than the headliner, Brook versus Alexander, simply because Matthysse never in a boring fight, and neither is Lamont Peterson, to be quite honest. The only boring fight he was in possibly the Ortiz fight, but that was Ortiz's fault for being such a bitch. I expect this to be an all-out war. Peterson throws enough per round, and Matthysse hits hard enough. And even though he starts slow, by the time the fight's on and going through the middle round, Matthysse throwing, with everybody he fights. The only real question is Lamont Peterson going to be able to stand up to Matthysse obvious power? And B, is Matthysse going to be slick enough on the defensive side to not let Lamont Peterson outbox him on a round-by-round basis? Because Lamont Peterson's boxing ability is severely underrated. Remember that he beat Amir Khan, not by knocking Amir Khan out like the other two guys have done, but by outboxing him, which had not been done and still hasn't been done. He hasn't been outboxed. He got outboxed by Peterson at least for half the fight. So, I think it's a really toss-up kind of fight. It's a 50-50 fight. It could go either way. And it's an exciting fight because after all the scandal Peterson's been through, coming back from it, whether you like him or hate him, he's back in another top-notch fight. And then on the flip side of that, you got Lucas Matthysse, who's been on the bad end of some fucked up decisions where he should have won. He should be undefeated right now. And now he's going to be up against Lamont Peterson. So there's a kind of double controversy going on there. And I think in all fairness, neither one of them have a fan base to sit here and say that, the judges are going to be biased one way or the other. I think this is going to be a pretty even fight on the cards, pretty even fight as far as the refereeing goes. And on paper, it really looks like a 50-50 fight. It's hard to pick this fight. I wouldn't put money on this fight, put it that way. I wouldn't put a goddamn dime on this fight. By volume, Lamont Peterson obviously is going to have more volume. The guy scraps, he throws. He is a boxer puncher. If I've ever seen a boxer puncher, he just doesn't have the puncher type power. But he does have enough pop to keep people off of him, much like Timothy Bradley did. Now that's a fight I'd like to see a rematch of if Lamont Peterson can walk away with the victory on this. I'd like to see Lamont Peterson versus Tim Bradley too. All that aside, Lucas Matthysse showed in the Alexander fight that he can beat volume with efficiency. I mean, Alexander was throwing way more punches than Matthysse was, but Matthysse was actually making a miss. Not that that's too hard with Alexander because he throws a lot of wasted shots. But he was making Alexander miss while countering and coming back with better aggression. And he got the cleaner, better shots on Alexander. And I expect him to get cleaner, better shots on Peterson as well. I rank Peterson higher than I rate Alexander. So it should be more competitive. I thought Matthysse clearly won the Alexander fight. They gave it to Alexander, but that's because he was HBO's fuckboy at the time. So we'll see. I'm really more interested in knowing what you guys are picking. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Matthysse by decision. I don't see him knocking Peterson out. I just don't see it. Peterson's too tough. He's been in there with some guys who hit hard, and he's faltered. He's went down, but he always gets back up. And I don't think it's going to be any different this time around. I do think Matthysse is finally going to get that victory that has been coming his way. That's going to kind of put him up there and getting them, them superstar fights that he deserves by now. So, what do you guys think? I got Matthysse by unanimous decision.